Hello, and welcome to Brand Clarity by Visions2images, where we focus on strategy and business development for entrepreneurs at all different levels through branding and digital marketing techniques. Susie Liberatore is the founder and art director of Visions2images Creative Services, LLC. For the last decade, she has personally been instrumental in bridging gaps between the global digital market and neighborhood locations for some of the biggest brands around. Growth is possible for even a single location with the right professional branding techniques and Susie's signature strategies of Visions2images. Stand out from your competitors and bring your visions to life while watching your sales skyrocket. Your host for this is Susie Liberatore, owner of Visions2images. Hello, everybody. Today on the podcast, I have Clarene Mitchell. She's the owner of TCM Communications, and she works exclusively with LinkedIn. I am super excited to chat with her today and, get some gold nuggets on some LinkedIn stuff and chat more about her journey. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for the invitation, Susie. I've been looking forward to this conversation. We've been connected for a while on LinkedIn, so it's great to be able to be a guest on your podcast. So thank you.
I know we've been connected for so long. We've talked a few different times too. So
Right.
it's great to kind of come together and collaborate on this.
Which already, and I don't mean to, start off the conversation before you get into the questions, but even me being a guest on your podcast is an example of the magic of LinkedIn, so to speak. Who knew when we connected? And I'm looking at our profiles now to get a reminder of the time that we connected. But who knew when we connected that I would be a guest on your podcast, right? We connected, started networking, having that authentic, engagement with each other's content, and it's led to this. So
I love it. Like you said, that's the power of LinkedIn, and we'll chat more about that. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about how you got started in this journey.
Oh, with the journey of my business as the founder and CEO of TCM Communications is a story of me being like at a critical time in my life where I lost my job unexpectedly in the fall of 2016. So this recording is being done in October of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my job in October of 2016, my last full-time job. So it's been 5 years now. I'm starting to celebrate that instead of, mourn that. I'm starting to celebrate it more as I progress more in my business. But lost the job unexpectedly, threw me for a loop. It was the first time in my career to lose a job at that level like that. But I went unemployed for almost a year. And no matter what I did, couldn't get a job. No matter what I did everything I knew to do and what people were telling me to do. I couldn't get a job. So I created a job for myself with my business. The tie into LinkedIn with this is as I was going through my job seeking process, I was attending job networking support groups. And through that process, people or attendees of the support groups were seeing what I was doing on LinkedIn because, of course, I was using LinkedIn more because I needed a job. Go to LinkedIn when you need a job. But so much more than that. And I'll talk about that later. But so I was using LinkedIn more aggressively because I needed a job. And those in the networking group was seeing what I was doing. And afterwards, we were meeting because they needed help. They were like, Clarene, how do you do this? How do you do that? And it was second nature to me or easy for me to do it. And I took it for granted until, more and more people were asking me for help. And so they were going off and getting jobs and, doing well. And I was still trying to figure out what to do with my life until the light bulb went off. And so created my business. It was broader social media, so including LinkedIn initially and other social media platforms. And my background is in print journalism and public relations. So I was doing press releases and all that. But I zoned in quickly into just LinkedIn exclusively because there's such a void with people really understanding the platform and how differently it works versus other platforms, especially with entrepreneurs, and getting people to see that it's not just for job seekers. It's for everyone, no matter where you're at in your career or business path. There's a place on LinkedIn and opportunities to get results.
No, I love it all. Yes. I've grown a lot on Facebook, and then probably within the last, I would say 2 years or so is when I really started to kind of go onto that LinkedIn and really start looking at it differently. Because like you said, so many times people think about it as the job searching and whatnot. there's a whole other field on LinkedIn, no matter what type of business or what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, you can just connect with people daily rather than connecting with all these people on Facebook and then you reach your friend limit and it's more personal anyways. You have so much more fun and really showcase, all of your experience, your highlights, all of that. I just love LinkedIn. I mean, I've gotten sales from LinkedIn, absolutely got connections, collaborations. So my two favorite platforms are Facebook and LinkedIn, definitely for my marketing techniques. The other ones don't really, like Instagram's there, but it's not really, it doesn't convert as well. So I stick to these two heavily. So what would you say, what are you most excited for right now?
Well, right now, it is super hot on LinkedIn. That's what I'm excited about. There's so much going on the platform as far as enhancements to the platform, making it more robust and again, specifically for entrepreneurs, there's key features like the cover story. If entrepreneurs are not taking advantage of that opportunity to have that 30-second video up under their profile image to really give their elevator pitch, they're missing a golden opportunity to market their businesses. But it's just a really exciting time, I say, on LinkedIn right now, because again, all the new features that they're rolling out, even the resources and services they're offering and supporting content creators. Recently, they're in the process of launching their Creator Accelerator program that includes $15,000 grants to 100 cohort members. I'm like, that is phenomenal. And it's all about helping them to create consistent content, conversations, raising their presence and profile on the platform. That's what I'm excited about, that more people are starting to see, like you were even saying, Susie, about seeing LinkedIn differently or really understanding there's so much more to the platform.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of times people say, well, I'm not looking for a job. I don't need to be on LinkedIn. And then sometimes they'll say, well, LinkedIn isn't where my audience is or whatnot, but there's so many ways to just communicate and connect. Like you can easily start referrals. And like I said, like there's so much more to it and it's more personalized than Facebook when you're bombarding everybody with the same messages and what.
Right.
So yeah. And I know all of the social platforms are kind of, not to jump around, but all of them are making a lot of changes. I mean, video is becoming more and more popular each and every day. And there's just so much changing every second I turn. There's a Facebook email. They're changing this. Instagram's changing this. And it makes me excited in a way because, we see all these changes happening for businesses and entrepreneurs that really want to take it to that next level. Because I remember when Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of that started many, many years ago. I was one of the insiders into that because I loved it. It was fun for me and I enjoyed it. Hence why I'm doing these things. But, as it keeps evolving and evolving, it's so exciting and so different. Glad that LinkedIn is also making a lot of changes. And I'll have to check out the 30-second video on LinkedIn because I don't think I have that on there yet. So I need to add that.
As you say now, not just with LinkedIn, but other platforms too, but especially with LinkedIn, making the platform more competitive, really expanding just as we should do as business owners. We should always be expanding, making ourselves more competitive. And LinkedIn is doing that as well.
Hey there, I want to interrupt this episode with a quick message. If you're listening to this podcast episode and want to learn about branding your franchise or small business, then go to brandingbridge.com. That's branding-bridge.com.
I always tell people it is 2021 now, right? And the year's almost over. 2022 will quickly be here, but we're in the digital era, right? Social media, I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. It's just going to continue to advance even more. And if we don't lean into it, I say we're doing ourselves a disservice, especially for entrepreneurs, because we're missing out golden opportunities to expand our business, to connect with our ideal customers or clients. So leaning into social media is a great business strategy, especially leaning into LinkedIn.
Absolutely. So what is your kind of best advice for somebody if they're having a hard time trying to wrap their head around why they need to be on LinkedIn or, I'm not searching for a job, like all of those mindset shifts? What would be your best advice for them?
So let me deal with the job seeker part first. The notion I'm not looking for a job, so I don't need to be on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
You don't wait until you need LinkedIn to use it. You have to get on and use it, build your brand, build your presence, build your community, build your, your activity on the platform before you need it. That way, when you need it, then things will work, will fall into place, and actually opportunities will develop for you without even you pursuing them because of your presence. But you don't wait until you need it, right? Like if you want to drive somewhere, right? You don't have an empty tank to drive. Especially if you're going on a long distance trip or whatever, you always have to be ready. So the same thing is true with LinkedIn. You get on and you use the platform before you really need it. Otherwise, when you do need it and you get on and you're struggling, right? And then you don't have that community, you don't have that, have the habit and the routine of how LinkedIn works differently, then you're going to get frustrated and you're going to blame the platform versus form. It's you, actually. So using it first, and then people are going to care about you and going to come to bat for you when you need the support. So from a job seeker perspective, that way. Plus, even if you're not a job seeker, it helps you do the jobs you're doing because you can network and, showcase all the brilliance of what you do in your current job and help you in that process. But for entrepreneurs, the biggest thing is just understanding LinkedIn is not just for job seekers. It's for business owners too. And that you can get solid organic business leads even without ads, even without spending money, even with the free version of the platform.
I love it. I love it. So do you recommend like businesses have that LinkedIn business page, or is it better to, both of them, the personal and business?
Oh, most definitely. So the company page is a free way to market. So why not get it? It asks for credibility, and the process with LinkedIn, and this, Susie, is social selling. So it's not where my personal profiles, we should be just doing direct selling and promotion all the time. That's going to turn people off. It's really providing value oriented content. But when you have a company page, it's a company page. It's expected. You're going to talk about your business and push. You still put value added content there, but it's not as much as a negative or, the wrong process of doing if you put that selling kind of content on your company page. So having a company page is, I say, a must do for entrepreneurs, small business owners. And even if you're a solopreneur, you can have a company page. And then actively using your personal profile, because people do business more with people versus businesses. Rather, the connection is there more. And so when people get to know you, like you, and trust you as a person, they're more apt to do business with you. And that's harder to develop on a company page versus a personal page.
You're speaking my language. I love it. I'm like, and I had like, yes, 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 like all of those things.
And we didn't even practice in advance. So we're there together. Yes.
Have you on because I know it all. I'm like, yep, that speaks to me. Yep. I love it. So if you could give anybody advice before we wrap this up, what kind of advice would you give them? Whether it's, if they're just starting off or if they're doing entrepreneurship or if they're midway into LinkedIn, I mean, what advice would you give anybody if they came to you?
The first thing is to understand that LinkedIn is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long-term process. It's not a get in and one and done and that's it process. So going in with the perspective, I don't just load my resume or my career information like I would do on a career builder website, like Indeed or Monster. No, I get my information on, but then it's social media. So you get on, you stay on, and you actively use the platform. So the biggest tips are making sure your profile is optimized from top to bottom. Like, just like you would go to a business meeting or an interview or whatever, kind of professional activity, you're going to go, dressed to impress, right? And so the same thing is true with our profiles. We need to make sure we're making a strong, positive first impression by making sure our profiles are complete. Okay, that's just like having our power suits on or a power dress, or for me, like my power heels on. Yes. And then optimizing our profiles, but then making sure we have a good network. We're always growing and expanding our network. And then that content, we have to have consistent content. Otherwise, we're out of sight, out of mind. And so we're not coming up on the news feeds. We're not going to be establishing ourselves as subject matter experts or building those authentic relationships. So those are the main tips.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with everything you said. And I actually have it on my list to go and re-optimize my LinkedIn a little bit because it's outdated. It's so outdated.
Mhm.
It needs to be fixed. So that's on my actual list. So I'm glad you're reminding me of all these things.
We have to refresh, edit, go back. Things change, right? We get new knowledge. We, make tweaks to what we're doing or get new education or whatever. So it's again, LinkedIn is not a one and done. We're always going back and trying to catch errors, or have a different perspective and more information. So good, good.
Yeah,
I do the same thing. You know, this is what I do for a living for others, but I have to practice what I preach as well.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, that's the same. I mean, we all have to practice what we preach. Sometimes we can be our worst enemies. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to block off time for my own marketing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else's. And here
Right.
I am stuck. And it's like we have to keep it going and be consistent in everything that we do as a business owner for sure. Anything else you wanted to chat? I'm gonna put your link in the bio as well. If you wanted to share that on here, go right ahead.
Oh, so ways for people to connect with me is LinkedIn, of course. So look me up on LinkedIn, uncommon name. So Clarene, Clarene Mitchell, and follow me or connect with me on the platform. I'm daily providing content to help people shine online with LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn newsletter specifically targeted to helping you advance your presence on the platform and your network. So it's called the Shine Online Bulletin. I publish it generally twice a month, new additions to the newsletter. And I have an imposter syndrome disrupted show on LinkedIn. So it's a LinkedIn Live show for women entrepreneurs every second and fourth Tuesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So connect, follow, engage.
Yes, I love it. That's where we connect to them. I'm always seeing your stuff, so I love it. Great stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I absolutely enjoyed our conversation and hope people could take some good stuff away from them.
Likewise, thank you so much, Susie. Look forward to continuing to see your content on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening in on today's Brand Clarity episode with Susie Liberatore. Two things. First and foremost, please, if you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave some positive reviews. Also, don't forget to sign up for Stop Sending Your Customers to the Competition and get my insider secrets to compelling branding that converts. You can find that at branding-bridge.com. It's a free workbook for you to check out right now, all of the branding techniques and strategies that I use for my paying clients.